Hello, my name is Keri Phillips Christensen, and today I'm going to be talking about discovery learning as an instructional design theory, a treatment plan based on the discovery learning uh, model, and a research plan for gathering data on that treatment plan. So part one, I just want to do a quick review of what discovery learning is. It's actually pretty complicated, and I will attempt to simplify it according to Jerome Bruner. In 1961, Jerome Bruner defined discovery learning for us by saying it includes all forms of obtaining knowledge for oneself by the use of one's own mind. And I think ultimately, discovery learning, if we're trying to apply that definition, a lot of techniques could be used, but he really narrowed it down to 5 components. I really wouldn't call it a framework so much as like these are the things that should be integrated into a design in order to call it discovery learning. So one is problem solving. Students should be driven by problem solving as a part of discovery learning. Also, students should lead the learning and lead their time management. Also, number 3, knowledge integration and making connections. That the lesson that you are designing should include knowledge integration. So taking what they've already known and integrating it into what they already know. I already said that. But being able to make connections to what they already know. When we're designing those lessons, they should be able to do that as part of the process in discovery learning. Also, number 4, information analysis and interpretation. That should be part of the lesson design, as they should be able to analyze things and interpret it for themselves based on their previous knowledge and connections they're able to make. And then number 5, discovery learning allows for learning through failure and instructor feedback. So this is a high instructor feedback environment. And I think that's where the instructor guidance comes in without it being instructor like led or dictated. And so that's discovery learning in a nutshell. And so the treatment plan I made is a mini lesson on fact versus opinion. So the topic is using discovery learning for a mini lesson on facts versus opinions. The audience is advanced placement English students in a high school. And the purpose is building confidence in students' evaluation of their own essays for the advanced placement test. And so maybe at first glance, the idea that advanced students in an English class need a mini lesson on facts versus opinions, they actually do. The more polished readings students are doing at more advanced levels, they need more practice recognizing when opinions are written so subtly that they sound like facts. And so the treatment plan is starting with a real simple definition, identification of facts versus opinions, but then it dives into recognizing the different kinds of opinions, different levels of opinions. And so ultimately the idea is if we can build the skills in recognizing opinions in all different forms, and then being able to evaluate those opinions as weak or uninformed or not credible, then the long-term goal is to start to build students' confidence, which advanced students struggle with trusting themselves, build confidence in their own ability to critique their personal writing as well as other writing. So that's the purpose for this intervention. So specifically for this intervention, the lesson objective is that the learner will be able to evaluate the quality of their work. That's the ultimate skill that we want students to be able to do through this mini lesson. But this objective has multiple parts. In fact, it's got 5. So the first sub-objective is that students will be able to apply a given rubric to their own writing, because that's part of their evaluation. Were they meeting those requirements? 1.2, the learner will be able to critique a peer's writing. So they shouldn't just be able to look at their own writing on a given topic. They should be able to see others and be able to practice those same skills. 1.3, the learner will be able to identify the difference between fact and opinion. 1.4, the learner will be able to identify the difference between informed and uninformed opinions, and that's really the advanced part of the mini lesson that advanced students need more work with. And then 1.5, the learner will be able to revise their work for quality using the QOEVC method. The QOEVC method is just a teacher-created method for evaluating their work. It breaks it up into parts that they need. It's like a mini checklist, and so they get to use that checklist throughout their writing. And then I've provided just an excerpt here, a part of the assignment. The first part of the assignment is practicing with facts and opinions, and that's really the easy part. And that's very straightforward, just clarification of the difference, and so that all students are kind of starting in the same place. And then from here, this is the part where they're getting into uninformed versus informed opinions. This is really where the discovery learning model is really being applied. And so opinions are not evaluated as right or wrong. They're described as informed or uninformed. The most informed opinions come from experts, so this is where the credibility of sources helps us to determine the quality of a citation. So if we were to make a scale, uninformed would be to the far left, informed would be in the middle, and expert on the far right. Even in your own writing, you should consider how informed your own opinions are. And so the assignment they're going to do is to create a scale where it goes from informed would be in the middle, and then expert would be on the far side. And then they're going to place in here article titles with some examples, quotes, scaling uninformed to informed to expert opinions. And that's their job. They're going to be working with a partner to create this scale. And so I've provided extra resources, but then they can also explore the internet, use newspapers, blogs. They can create their own scale using their own resources. And so the purpose here is that they're going to work with a partner to practice identifying specific articles that they want to focus on that provide opinions, and then they have to categorize, prioritize, chronologically, across the scale from uninformed, informed to expert. The treatment plan also leads into a gallery walk where students can share what they found and look to see what other people have found and give feedback. And the treatment plan goes into a lot of detail for that. So as far as the research plan, what I'm really curious about is part 3 is the teacher's perspective. So the aim of this study would be to discover the teacher's perspective of student engagement in the online learning environment and a collaborative and cooperative task when discovery learning design is applied. Ideally, this would be for online learning because of the state of things right now. It doesn't have to be restricted to online learning. But I'm curious about the teacher's perspective of how this treatment is working with students. And so some of the questions that pop up that I'm curious about the teacher's perspective is, did the students perform the way the instructor was expecting? How did they know if they reached their expectations? The students, how did the teachers know the students met their expectations? What specifically were instructors looking for, like behaviors or content? And how did instructors present, share the instructions? Because with discovery learning, it's not very, specific on the instructor's role, like how they perform. So the context of this research design would be high school English teachers, AP English teachers, using a blended learning environment. Students need to have access to all the resources so they can decide for themselves which they would use. And the study would only be about 7 to 10 instructors as kind of a beginning study. My methodology would be, before we even assigned the treatment plan, I would send out a teacher survey of open-ended questions specifically about their anticipated expected outcomes of discovery learning. On student engagement, I'm just curious like what they're imagining could happen with kind of a low structure environment for AP students. AP students are often expecting a high structure environment and typically thrive in that environment. So what are they really expecting from this kind of design? And then I would also do the same survey after the treatment and see what they observed as the treatment plan was happening. So, were the students successful according to teachers? Were they not successful? Were they somewhere in between? And then I would do follow-up interviews on Zoom over any questions specific to their survey questions for more clarification. And then data analysis, I would take those Zoom interviews and turn them into transcripts and use computer-mediated discourse analysis to identify themes. I would code according to themes and find out the perception of discovery learning on student engagement. And the ultimate goal of this study is to nail down a learning framework that provides a reliable model to use when designing for collaborative assignments. Collaborative assignments seem just as unclear to design for as discovery learning can be. So the hope is that these could work hand in hand. So here are my sources, and once again, my name is Keri Phillips Christensen. You can find me on Twitter at EdTechKeri, LinkedIn at Keri Christensen, and my blog is Not Lost Not Yet at WordPress.com. Thank you so much.